Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my downtown office. Sarah, it's Dad. His voice had that careful tone he used when he was about to ask for something. Or in this case, uninvite me from something. Hi, Dad. So, Carol and I are doing professional family portraits this weekend. For the holiday cards, you know. Very upscale photographer. Expensive setup. I waited. There was always a but coming. The thing is, Carol has a very specific vision. She wants the photos to show a cohesive family unit. Her children, me, that classic blended family look. Her friends are all very successful people. They'll be receiving these cards. Country club members, business associates, people from her charity boards. I see, I said quietly. You understand, right? It's not personal. It's just, Carol feels that having you in the photos would complicate the narrative she's trying to present. You know how these things work. Image matters in her circles. I stared out my office window at the city skyline. 23 floors below, people moved like ants through their lives, unaware that somewhere above them, a daughter was being erased from her father's family portrait. Her circles, I repeated. Don't take it the wrong way, sweetheart. You'll always be my daughter. This is just for the cards. Carol's worked very hard to build her social standing, and these photos are important for that. You'd want her to be happy, right? In the background, I heard Carol's voice. Richard, tell her it's nothing personal. We'll do a casual photo with her some other time. Did you hear that? Dad said brightly. We can do our own photo another time. Just you and me. Casual. No pressure. My brother's voice joined the background chorus. Dad, just tell her. We've got the photographer booked for 3 hours and we're already running behind schedule. Marcus agrees this is the best approach, Dad added. It's really just a practical decision, Sarah. I was 28 years old. I had a master's degree in finance from Wharton. I managed a private investment portfolio worth over $40 million. I sat on the boards of 3 successful companies. Forbes had featured me in their 30 Under 30 issue 6 months ago. And my father was uninviting me from family photos because his new wife thought I'd complicate the narrative. Sarah? You still there? I'm here. So you understand? No hard feelings. I thought about the last 4 years. The gradual exclusion. The slow erasure. Dad had married Carol 18 months after Mom died. Carol came with 2 perfect children, Brandon, 25, and Madison, 23. Both working in finance, both polished and professional, both exactly the kind of successful offspring that photographed well for country club Christmas cards. I'd been patient. I'd been understanding. I'd watched as Carol redecorated the house Mom had chosen every detail of. I'd smiled politely as Carol hosted parties where I wasn't invited because the guest list is so curated. I'd accepted being uninvited from Dad's birthday dinner because Carol wanted just immediate family. A category that apparently included her adult children but not his. Sarah. Dad's voice sharpened slightly. I need an answer. The photographer is waiting. Of course, Dad. I understand completely. Wonderful. I knew you'd be reasonable about this. You've always been so low maintenance. Not like, well, never mind. I'll call you next week, okay? Sure. Love you, sweetheart. I hung up. For a moment I sat completely still, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Then I opened my encrypted messaging app and typed a message to James Richardson, my portfolio manager at Sterling Wealth Management. James, withdraw all capital from Anderson Hospitality Group immediately. Full liquidation. Execute today. His response came within 30 seconds, confirming, complete withdrawal of $4.1 million investment from AHG. This will trigger the Minority Investor Protection Clause and likely force restructuring. I typed, confirmed. Execute now. Done. Withdrawal notice being sent to AHG principals immediately. I set my phone on my desk and returned to my quarterly reports. 60 seconds later my phone rang. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. And again. To understand what happened next, you need to understand what my father didn't know about me. After Mom died, I'd inherited her entire estate. She'd been a brilliant investor, though she'd kept it quiet. Dad had always been the public face of success with his restaurant management career, but Mom had been the one who actually built wealth. She'd started with a small inheritance from her parents and turned it into an 8-figure portfolio through careful, strategic investments. She'd left it all to me. Not because she didn't love Dad, but because she knew him. She knew he'd remarry quickly, he couldn't stand being alone. She knew he'd want to impress his new wife. She knew he'd make financially irresponsible decisions to maintain a lifestyle that looked successful rather than building actual wealth. "Protect this," she told me during one of our last conversations. "Don't tell anyone how much there is. Not your father, not your brother. Build it carefully. And Sarah, invest in things that matter to you. If someone doesn't value you, don't let them benefit from your resources." I'd followed her advice. I'd lived modestly. I'd driven a 10-year-old Honda. I'd worn clothes from Target. I'd worked a regular job as a financial analyst at a mid-sized firm, even though I didn't need the income. To everyone who knew me, I was just Sarah. Sweet, quiet Sarah who'd never quite lived up to her successful father and brother. What they didn't know was that I'd been investing Mom's money brilliantly. I'd started an anonymous investment fund. I'd built partnerships with emerging businesses. I'd provided capital to companies that needed backing from someone who understood long-term value over short-term flash. One of those companies had been Anderson Hospitality Group. 3 years ago, Dad had quit his corporate restaurant management job to start his own restaurant consulting firm. He'd partnered with 2 other industry veterans. They'd needed capital to expand. They'd been seeking investors. I'd watched from the shadows as they'd pitched to various funding sources. Most had turned them down. The market was saturated, their business plan was decent but not exceptional, and they lacked the capital reserves to weather the industry's volatility. Then an anonymous investor had come forward through Sterling Wealth Management. The investor offered $4.1 million in exchange for a 15% equity stake and a seat on the advisory board, to be occupied by a designated representative. The terms were generous. Almost too generous. Dad and his partners had accepted immediately. What they didn't know was that the designated representative, who attended their quarterly board meetings remotely, a sharp-voiced woman named Jennifer Chin, was actually my law school roommate acting on my behalf. What they didn't know was that their mysterious benefactor was the daughter Dad kept forgetting to invite to family events. For 3 years I'd watched the company grow. I'd provided strategic guidance through Jennifer. I'd connected them with vendors I knew from other investments. I'd helped them navigate the pandemic by suggesting pivots to takeout and delivery that saved their nascent business. Anderson Hospitality Group now managed consulting contracts for 17 regional restaurant chains. They employed 42 people. They'd been featured in Restaurant Business magazine. They were successful. And Dad had no idea his low-maintenance daughter had made it all possible. My phone continued ringing throughout the afternoon. First Dad. Then Marcus, my brother, who worked at Anderson Hospitality Group as Director of Operations. A position he'd gotten not through merit but through Dad's insistence on keeping it in the family. I let every call go to voicemail. At 4:47 p.m., my office phone rang. My assistant, Kevin, buzzed me. "Sarah, there's a Richard Anderson on the line. Says he's your father. Says it's urgent. Not available. He says it's an emergency. Still not available." At 6:15 p.m., my personal cell phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Sarah." Finally. It was Marcus. "What the hell is going on? Did you talk to Dad today?" "Briefly." "Did he say something to upset you? Because we've got a major situation here and..." "I'm sure you do." "Sarah, this isn't funny. Our biggest investor just pulled out. $4 million gone. Just like that. The lawyers are going insane. We've got expansion contracts we can't fulfill now. We might have to lay people off. Dad's losing his mind." "That sounds stressful." "That's all you have to say?" "Sarah, this could destroy the company. This could destroy Dad's reputation. We need you to talk to him. He's barely coherent. He keeps saying he doesn't understand why this is happening. Maybe you could, I don't know, be supportive right now." I almost laughed. Be supportive. Me. The daughter who wasn't good enough for the family portrait. "Marcus, I'm sure Dad has Carol to support him. And her successful children. They photograph so well together." Silence. Then, "Wait. This is about the photo thing." Goodbye, Marcus. Sarah, wait, you can't be serious. You're upset about some stupid family photo? That's why you're... He stopped. Wait. How would you even know about the investor pulling out? That information isn't public yet. We just found out 2 hours ago. How do you... I hung up. At 8:30 p.m. someone knocked on my apartment door. I checked the security camera. Dad and Marcus stood in the hallway, both looking disheveled and frantic. I didn't open the door. Sarah, please. Dad's voice was muffled through the door. I know you're home. Your car's in the garage. Please, we need to talk. Silence. Sarah, I'm sorry about the photo thing. Carol was just... She gets anxious about these social things. It wasn't personal. You know I love you. More silence. Marcus's voice. Sarah, come on. Don't be childish. Whatever's going on, we can talk about it like adults. But right now we've got a real crisis and you need me to fix it? I called through the door. Silence on their end now. Sarah. Dad's voice was quieter. Sweetheart, do you know something about this investor situation? The investor who wanted just a cohesive family unit? I asked. The investor who didn't fit the narrative? That investor. I heard Dad's sharp intake of breath. Sarah, open this door. Why? Am I suddenly good enough to be included in something? Sarah Marie Anderson, you open this door right now. Or what, Dad? You'll uninvite me from more family events? Oh wait, you can't uninvite me from something I was never invited to in the first place. Marcus's voice. Oh my God. Sarah, are you the investor? You. That's impossible, Dad said. Sarah works as an analyst. She drives a Honda. She wears. Marcus, that's impossible. Then you have nothing to worry about, I said calmly. I'm sure your real investor will reconsider. Maybe if you sent them a really nice family portrait. Very cohesive. Great narrative. Sarah. Good night, Dad. Say hi to Carol for me. Tell her I hope the photos turn out beautifully. I'm sure they will, now that they won't be complicated by my presence. I walked away from the door. Behind me I heard Dad say, She can't possibly. Marcus, your sister works a regular job. She's never shown any interest in. Dad, Marcus interrupted. When's the last time you actually talked to Sarah? Like really talked to her? Asked her about her life? Silence. Yeah, Marcus said quietly. That's what I thought. Their footsteps eventually faded down the hallway. The next morning I received an email from Jennifer Chin, copying me on the official withdrawal documentation sent to Anderson Hospitality Group. The email chain below showed the panic. From Dad, we need to speak with the principal investor immediately. This withdrawal will devastate our expansion plans. Surely we can negotiate terms that work for everyone. From Jennifer, my client's investment decisions are final. Per the terms of your original agreement, withdrawal is permitted with 48-hour notice. That notice has been provided. From Marcus, can you at least tell us why? What did we do wrong? Our performance metrics have been excellent. From Jennifer, my client invested in your company based on certain values and principles. Recent actions by senior management have demonstrated a misalignment with those values. My client prefers to invest in entities that understand the importance of family, loyalty, and inclusion. From Dad, if this is about my daughter, we can fix that. We can include her in company events. We can. From Jennifer, my client's decisions are not transactional. This is not a negotiation. The withdrawal stands. I closed the email and went to make coffee. Over the next week things escalated. Anderson Hospitality Group's expansion contracts fell through. They couldn't secure alternative funding on such short notice. They had to delay 3 major client projects. 2 of their competitors immediately moved to poach those contracts. Industry publications started asking questions. What happened to AHG's mystery investor? Inside the sudden shakeup at Anderson Hospitality Group. Dad called 17 times. I didn't answer. Marcus sent 12 text messages, ranging from angry to pleading. I didn't respond. Carol sent me a Facebook message. I don't know what your father did to upset you, but punishing his business seems excessive. Perhaps we could meet for coffee and discuss this like mature adults. I blocked her. On Friday evening, exactly 1 week after the phone call about family photos, my doorbell rang. This time it was just Dad. Alone. I checked the camera. He looked terrible. Exhausted. Older. I opened the door. We stared at each other. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I stepped aside. We sat in my living room, me on the couch, him in the chair across from me. For a long moment neither of us spoke. "It's really you," he finally said. "The investor. All this time." "Yes. $4 million. 4.1 million actually." "How? Sarah, where did you?" "Mom left me everything," I said simply. "Her entire portfolio. Did you know she was worth over $8 million when she died?" His face went white. "That's impossible. Your mother worked part-time. She was a brilliant investor. She just didn't broadcast it. She built wealth quietly, carefully, strategically. And she left it all to me because she knew." I stopped. "Knew what?" "She knew you'd remarry fast. She knew you'd want to impress your new wife. She knew you'd make decisions based on image rather than substance. She was protecting me. And she was protecting her legacy." Dad sat back in his chair looking like I'd punched him. "I've spent 4 years watching you erase me," I continued. "Slowly. Bit by bit. First it was, Carol needs time to adjust. Then it was, Carol's children are having a hard time with the blended family dynamic. Then it was, maybe it's better if you don't come to Thanksgiving this year. Carol's family is very traditional. Then it was, we're doing a small birthday dinner, just immediate family. Sarah. And every time I told myself it was temporary. That eventually you'd remember I existed. That eventually I'd matter again. But it just got worse. Do you know what it feels like to watch your father replace you? To see him post photos with his new family, like his old family never existed. I never meant. The family photos were the final straw, Dad. Not because I care about being in some Christmas card. But because of what you said. You'd complicate the narrative. That's what I am to you now. A complication. Something that doesn't fit the story you're trying to tell Carol's country club friends." Tears were running down his face now. "I didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did. That's exactly what you meant. I don't fit the image of success you want to project. I drive an old car. I wear Target clothes. I work a regular job. I'm not impressive enough for Carol's social circles. I'm an embarrassment." "No. The irony is, Dad, I'm probably more successful than anyone in Carol's country club. I just don't need to broadcast it. I don't need designer clothes and luxury cars and professional photo shoots to prove my worth. Mom taught me that. Real wealth is quiet. Real success doesn't need validation." He was crying openly now. "I've been funding your company for 3 years," I continued. "I connected you with vendors. I helped you navigate the pandemic. I guided your strategy through Jennifer. I made you successful. And you didn't even know I existed. Sarah, please. I don't want your apology, Dad. I want you to understand what you did. You chose a woman you've known for 5 years over the daughter you've known for 28 years. You chose image over substance. You chose Carol's narrative over your own child. I can fix this," he said desperately. "I'll tell Carol. It's not about Carol. It's about you. It's about the choices you made. Carol didn't uninvite me from family photos. You did. Carol didn't decide I was an embarrassment. You did. You can't blame your new wife for your own failures as a father." He buried his face in his hands. We sat in silence. "I'm selling the house," he finally said, his voice muffled. "We can't afford the mortgage without the company's projected income. Carol's furious. Her children are moving out, they can't stand the tension. Marcus is looking for other jobs because he says he can't work for me anymore, not after what I did to you." I said nothing. "Was it worth it?" he asked, looking up. "Destroying my company? Destroying my marriage? Destroying our family? Was your revenge worth all that?" I met his eyes. "I didn't destroy anything, Dad. I just stopped funding it. There's a difference. You built a company on my money while excluding me from your life. You built a new family on my mother's memory while erasing me from your narrative. I simply withdrew my support. What collapsed was never actually stable to begin with. So that's it? You're just done with me?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Right now, I'm done being treated like I'm not good enough. I'm done being erased. I'm done being the daughter you love, of course, but only when it's convenient. Only when it doesn't complicate the narrative. He stood up slowly, looking broken. For what it's worth, he said at the door, I am sorry. I didn't see what I was doing. I didn't see you. I wanted Carol to be happy. I wanted her to feel secure. You wanted the easy path, I finished. You wanted to be the hero of your new wife's story, even if it meant becoming the villain in mine. He flinched. I'll go. Dad. He turned. The photo shoot. How did it go? His laugh was bitter. Carol canceled it. Turns out her friends weren't as impressed with our blended family once they found out my company was collapsing and my daughter had been the one keeping it afloat. Funny how that works. After he left, I sat in the silence of my apartment. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. The company's offering to buy back your equity stake at a 40% loss. They're desperate. What do you want to do? Thought about Mom. About what she taught me. About strategic investing and long-term thinking and knowing when to hold and when to fold. I typed, counteroffer. I'll reinvest the $4.1 million under new terms. I get 30% equity, a voting board seat and veto power over all major decisions. Non-negotiable. They have 48 hours to accept. Jennifer's response, that's aggressive. They'll probably refuse. Me, then they'll collapse. Either way I win. Either I get actual power in a company I've been funding, or I stop wasting resources on people who don't value me. Mom would approve. Jennifer, your mother was a savage investor. She'd be proud. 3 days later, Anderson Hospitality Group accepted my terms. The official announcement went out on Monday. AG welcomes Sarah Anderson to the board of directors as primary investor and strategic advisor. The industry publications had a field day. Daughter saves father's company with multi-million-dollar investment, and the secret investor behind HG's success finally revealed. What they didn't know was that it wasn't about saving the company. It was about no longer being invisible. Carol divorced Dad 6 months later. Turns out she wasn't interested in a husband whose company was controlled by the stepdaughter she tried to erase. Dad and I have coffee once a month now. It's stilted. Awkward. We're rebuilding slowly, but the easy relationship we once had is gone. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it won't. Marcus apologized. Actually apologized. He'd been complicit in my erasure, he said, because it was easier than standing up to Dad and Carol. He's still at the company, but now he reports to me. It's weird for both of us. Last week, the company photographer called about scheduling new promotional photos for the website. Should we include all board members? She asked. I thought about it. Yes, I said. All board members. Because that's what you do when you value people. You include them. She probably thought I was weird for being so emphatic about a corporate photo shoot. But I understood what Mom had tried to teach me. Real family doesn't erase you to simplify the narrative. Real success doesn't require you to be invisible. And real wealth isn't just about money. It's about knowing your worth and never letting anyone convince you that you're a complication in your own story. The photos turned out great, by the way. Everyone was included.